Do you want to see the single worst thing ever? Like, ever? No? Too bad. Alright, so, I just want to show, like, how bad testing bowl storage actually is, but it could also be theoretically seen as, like, some sort of follow-up to the previous bowl storage video. So, I was looking at the spreadsheet, and I wanted to make this video. If I have to go through torture, then so do other people. So I was like, what is, like, the worst thing I could do? And, well, Sunday Ring is pretty much the worst thing I can do, because it's incredibly long. And then I was like, well, which level is the worst? And based off of, Bowl and SCDA1, based off this one, it's probably this one. So, yeah, I'm also making this video as almost like a potential, like, half celebration, kind of, in the sense that, apparently, in some old ZEMU, like, somebody made a fork of ZEMU or something, where it could actually, like, you could basically enable, like, speed up or something, and Resin said that he'll see if he can, you know, revive it. So he might not be able to, but he might also, you know, be able to. Because I had the realization yesterday, why the fuck isn't this speed up? Like, even if it was, like, 80 FPS, that'd make a huge difference. Like, yes, certain inputs are harder to do optimally at that kind of frame rate, which means that I'm not getting the full benefits of that speed increase. But, like, it's not even about the loads, it's just about, like, you know, the driving level, you know, the fade in and the fade out and everything, like, just making all of that faster. That's a big deal. Like, genuinely, that is a big deal. It made testing a lot faster, especially in moments where death is, you know, early enough in the level to where you kind of feel pretty obligated to test it. So yeah, I've already done Sunday Ring SCDA1, as you can see, so we are gonna do Sunday Ring Mermaid Man, which, technically costumes are automatically not as bad to test because you can't use the main menu, except for the fact that you need to enable the costume every time you, reboot the game. So, it kind of makes a time back, so it depends. It depends on if main menu was, like, had its own crashes and stuff that just made it, like, annoying to test. If it was just no effect the entire time, which is common because main menu is a very, like, a very small level, in those cases, I feel like enabling the costume every single time might kind of... Well, then it also depends on the level. Driving levels are the slowest to test. So yeah, with that in mind... So, yeah, the Sunday Ring versus Sunday Ring Mermaid Man, because we're using costumes, like, there is a pretty good chance that... Well, not of an effect, unless you want to count a crash as an effect. There could be loads of crashes, there could be no effect the entire time. I was gonna do, just Sunday time there, but there's only about 25 loads worth testing, something like that, you know, about, like, 25. So I thought, well, if, SCDA1 Mermaid Man happens to have a lot of crashes, then that would be the most, but yeah, again, I was trying to find, like, the most painful thing, but I also didn't want to just repeat what I've already done. Adding another layer to this is just, not this specifically, but there's, like, some rock slide stuff I need to redo because it was when ZEMU was inaccurate. Luckily, it was basically just ZEMU that, it was basically just rock slide that was inaccurate, and even then, I'm pretty sure Plain Sponge was done after an update, but I'm not sure about the time challenge. Not that, why do I keep saying things wrong? The Mermaid Man costume? I don't know. But anyway... So yeah, let's just get right in, bros. So I need to pick a file that has Sunday Ring, which I believe even just this main file will be fine. Oh yeah, I gotta change this to SCDA1 Mermaid Man to Sunday Ring. And then I gotta enable the costume, right? Which this isn't edited. The INI's been edited so that I get these costumes immediately. Otherwise, imagine testing Plain Sponge shit. That'd be so awful. Nothing about the INI should actually change the level itself. About, like, the menu INI stuff, so yeah. Alright, anyway. Then, It doesn't really matter if you set a bowl storage here or in, like, the level that you go to. I don't think it matters. I mean, I guess just in case. So yeah, now we warp to SCDA 1. I warped to the wrong one. I warped to the wrong one. That's another thing. You could be saying, oh, well, that's not fair to show how bad the testing is, but it kind of is, because it's so soul-sucking. It literally, like, it drains you so badly that these mistakes kind of can be common, especially when I happen to test stuff at like 3 a.m. Also, accidentally setting up bowl storage when you didn't mean to can happen fairly frequently as well. So what I actually meant to do is... Also, I'm testing on Zemu. Imagine doing this on OG. It'd be actually, like, infinitely worse. But yeah, as you can see, we got Mermaid Man set this up. So we're on 2 loads right now, right? And then we go to Sunday Ring. So, without the costume, it apparently crashes here. I didn't check what type of crash it does, but yeah, according to my past self, it normally crashes here. And then this is the fastest way that you can die in Sunday. Not even waiting for the ring, like even just inputting will do more inputs. And no crash. Load number 3 normally crashes, and it didn't crash. Hip hip hooray. We're off to a good start. Now we're on load number 4. And you can see, even with the really fast loads, you can see that this is already just, like, bruh. The slowest one to test will be Knucklehead. Well, I mean, Sunday will be the slowest because of how many... Sunday Ring, because of how many loads you can do. But other than that, Knucklehead Ring will be, like, the fucking worst. Because it's actually, like... Well, even then it depends. It depends on if you're willing to wait for the rings to run out. I'm on load 5, by the way. I'm just saying this so that I don't forget, because there's a solid chance I forget because of how much I may be talking. But, yeah, basically, there's, you can potentially get effects depending on if you die and then reload, but those have only really been proven theoretically, but still, I don't know. Like, it's still... You want to die, like, just in case, but not if it takes forever. Like, in, like, Sandwich Driving Macho, like, it would take so long to die. I am not testing that. Anyway, we're on load 7 right now. No crashes, surprisingly. The other reason why I want to, like, do it on Zemu is because of, like, save states and stuff. Quite useful. Very, very useful. This video is not turning out the way I expected it to, though, because... I've already lost count. I don't know if I'm on 7 or 8. I think I'm on 7. But I could have easily already lost count. 8. And that's the thing. Oh, 8 crashed. Alright, so now I need to put 8, L, because L indicates, it crashed on load. That's what L means for me. I have a whole bunch of things. Hopefully we'll see multiple types of crashes so that I can actually, you know... Well, I say hopefully. I don't actually want to see multiple crashes, but... Yeah, this isn't turning out the way I exactly expected, just because, like... I was expecting more crashes by now, but sometimes they can just kick in out of nowhere. It is theoretically possible that, like, the 20th load onwards just crashes every single time. Incredibly unlikely I mess it up again. Incredibly unlikely. Some people have even asked me, like, oh, would you ever consider, like, streaming these? The fact that I've already messed up twice, and I might have miscounted the loads, I don't think I did, so potentially upwards of 3 mistakes this early in, I think goes to show why I shouldn't, and just it being incredibly boring, especially when I'm doing these in silence. So anyway, now we gotta go to SCDA again. So again, we're on load 2, so now you might be thinking, well, what do we do now? Well, now we can do a non-SB load. Let's do, like, Dennis. Dennis is, like, obviously it depends, but some levels can be pretty safe depending on, like, what the chain is. So now we're on 4. These also are just much faster than reloading Sunday again. 5. 6. And we'll get to 8. Now here's where the next fun part comes in. Alright, so I'm gonna pause here. sometimes going, like, warping after after entering a non-SB level will just always crash. So there have been times where I've save stated, like, on a load count where the next load crashes, and then I'm like, well, that's just terrific. And here's the other great thing, right? I'm gonna create a snapshot. Yeah, we're gonna have to sit here for about a minute. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm just looking like a fool because it did the thing. So basically, whenever I save a state, there is a very, very high chance that it takes like a minute, but in very rare instances, it takes like a few seconds, and I just so happened. Of course, when I actually get lucky with it, it's to make me look as bad as possible in the video, make it look like I'm just exaggerating how bad this is. Anyway, load number 9. We continue the adventure. So what we're looking for, obviously, is just to skip the entire task. Like, we load in, and then Mindy's like, oh my god, you did it, here's your reward, I'm so proud of you. So yeah, that's what we're looking for. And it's possible that we could activate an effect by dying, and then reloading. So now we're on load 10, out of, like, again, an estimated 45, that's, like, the max I estimated for it to still, like, at least, like, roughly break even, you know, like, obviously I didn't, like, properly, and is not factoring, like, you know, because then you gotta get rid of ball storage afterward, because then we could just go to a combat or something, it won't be that bad. I've lost count again, I think this is load 10. Load 11. So, you know, we're, like, pretty much a quarter of the way there. After I'm done with this, we'll be, like, a quarter of the way there, except factoring that the first two loads were the fastest because they weren't in Sunday. So, XD. Whenever you get, like, a unique effect, like, that really keeps you going. 12. When in Rockslide, I got, like, a huge, giant SpongeBob. Well, not huge, but, like, a big SpongeBob at the beginning of the level. And it looks like it's either, like, doing, like, a weird half T-pose, or it's, like, partway through an animation. It's incredibly bizarre. Never seen anything like it. That's the kind of stuff that keeps you going. Whenever you see something like that, it just completely refreshes your brain, because you're actually seeing something new. 13. Like, you just kind of, like... Oh, it's good for the soul to actually see things on crashes or no effect. Although, if it's just like an effect that you're already desensitized to, like the 0-second timer effect in Rockslide, then that's just kind of like, eh. I think this is load 13 again. I'm losing count. So 14. There's a good chance I've already lost count. This is what I mean. It's not that big of a deal if you miscount. The only, like, the really bad thing about it is that if anybody else tests your effect, your chain, for some reason, there could be a situation, 15, there could be a situation where it's like, oh, well, I'm using a newer Zemu version / console. Is it possible that yours was inaccurate? And then it calls into question the other effects done on the spreadsheet, when in reality, it literally is just like, you miscounted. 16. But outside of that, it is pretty much just like... It is pretty much, like, not a big deal, because, like, oh, you miscounted by, like, 2, so you did, like, 2 less loads than you were meant to. Like, even if we found, like, the holy grail, the skip that I'm talking about, would it really matter if, like, if it's only saving, like, 10 fucking seconds? Like that's another thing. It's 17. It's debatable if it's even worth, like, testing the maximum number of loads, in the sense that even if this worked at, like, 44 loads or whatever, right? And it saved time. Like, imagine, like... I mean, would that really benefit the run? Like, I know Sunday Ring is incredibly boring, but what's more boring, right? Like, going through, like, a long-ass track, 18, with nitro management, and, like, you can fuck up in certain ways and everything like that. Oh. Ah, I got the thing. So that was... 18F. And that's why you load the goddamn save state. Where the fuck is my... There we go. So what was I saying? Yeah, it would just not really, like, benefit the run if you're just reloading again and again and again and again and again and again. It's fine if you reload, like, fucking 10, 15 times, even, like, 15, if you can just reload somewhere really fast, like Dennis, the entire time. That is probably, like, the fastest, single fastest warp you could probably do in the entire game for chaining, I would imagine. Because there's no cutscenes after the first one, and the level's insanely small. Anyway, now we gotta get back. 9, 10, and then I want to save another state. 11, 12. This could also be seen as a video on, like, why it's important. 13. Why it's important to 14. Hold on, I can't think. 15. 16. 17. On why costumes are important to test. 18. Because it's like... Okay, so now I think you're actually gonna see. Yeah, that takes like a minute. A lot of my previous testing didn't even have save state because I thought that didn't work because after like 20 seconds I'm like, oh, it crashed. Keep in mind, like, my PC's good, my hard drives are good, they're all healthy, like, there's no, and even then, I think ZEMU itself is on my SSD. Like, there's just no reason for why this should be happening. It just happens because and it's not because of the resin ZEMU version, it just does it regardless. Maybe the most recent versions don't do this anymore, but either way, like, this is the version I'm using because it has the ball storage thing. Sometimes in my worst cases, I'd be like, did I set up ball storage? I can't remember, so just, you know. And it's good for getting rid of bone structure errors in non-SB levels that you're looking to chain like Dennis. If it were to crash on the 19th load, I can just effectively patch it with the bone structure thing. So what happened, by the way, because I never specified 19, it was like flickering the bone structure. That's because it was just like, it was constantly messing up the model. Here's another crash. Good thing I saved a state. I tend to not specify bone structure errors because it doesn't really matter, and if you're on console, you wouldn't know it's a bone structure error anyway. But, 20. But, so I just have it as F, as you saw the 19th load. Okay, that's interesting. See, this is what I was talking about. Sometimes you just get, like, a lot of crashes out of nowhere. But after the 20th load, it's entirely possible that it also just stops, you know? Or it could just keep going. 19... 20. So what I specify as F is having, like... When you talk to Mindy, and then it, like, fades to black, during that black screen, if it crashes, I say F as fade. Though I don't specify in the spreadsheet that's a fade crash, because there's technically, like, a couple fades, so I just say crashes after talking to Mindy. Because, you know, I don't know. Anyway, I think I reloaded the 20 loads, but I can't remember, so we need to load the state. 19... 20. Then we got 21. We got 21. And it could crash. It could not crash. We'll see. Oh my god, it does not like me. So this is different because it didn't crash like when I normally specify F. It's making me wonder what it's doing. I wonder if it is corrupting Mindy's text boxes. But like not in a favorable way. Nah, because I already... I have an idea. No, it wouldn't do anything. Okay, do I just specify this as F? Yeah, because it doesn't really matter. It's still, like, during the fade, even if it's not, like, exactly when I... And and again, it's important to, like, specify this stuff. Maybe one day we could find a way to get around the fade crashes, for example, or somebody else is getting different crashes, so it's important to, because then it's like, oh, well, why is that? We need to investigate what's different between then and now. Anyway, here's load 22. There we go. Who knows what it was doing? See, that's another thing. I wish I knew what it was doing. During those moments, I wish I knew what exactly it was doing. That's why I wish Zemu had, like, a dolphin-type thing with, like... Like, it has, like... 23, by the way. Where you can do, like, ignore, the session. So that you see, like, what it would be doing. I'm just curious, I want to know if it's, like, obliterating the entire level, like, I want to know. Maybe we are getting our desired text effect. Highly unlikely, but still. 24. Like, that would be an indicator, like, maybe the effect isn't actually possible on Xbox, because maybe it would be possible, but it's not. Because, like, it would work, but it crashes because of how it handles the corruption. But then maybe, you know, like, that's the thing, like, I want to know what it's doing. I like to think it's, like, deleting the entire level. That'd be a lot more motivating if you could see it, like, delete the entire level. Anyway, 22. I don't want to save... See, that's another thing. 23. I would just save a state, like, nearly every load, but it's not worth it if it's taking a minute every, like, 90% of the time. It's not worth it then. But then if it crashes here, then I gotta go from 18 again. Oh, bone structure error. And it's 000. And there you go. I don't like to patch bone structure errors in the level itself because, again, sometimes being in the level and then reloading the level itself can produce a unique effect. But then, I don't want, like, imagine if 25 to 26 causes something, but then, like... Well, that wouldn't be any good on console, we can't replicate that. 26... I mean, no, not fucking 26. 21, sometimes I miscount and then I immediately correct myself. 20, it's because I was thinking about the 25 loads. 23... 24... 25. It might even be getting into a pattern, I'm realizing. 18 to 19 crashed, and 24 to 25 crashed. So if load 20 has a text crash again, it might be getting, like, kind of stuck in a loop. Well, it's probably not literally getting stuck in a loop, but it's, like, that's the thing, like, I don't know. I don't know how to, like, look at the memory and, like, figure out, like, what's going on. It might be literally looping, but I doubt it. So let's see... No. Although, this still happened. So I should probably save a state again, but again, it's like, I don't want to wait a minute. 19. This is what I mean, dude. Imagine testing this on fucking console. Like, literally, like, you can't even get anybody to test a shit on Zemu, like, let alone, like, console. 22. 23. 24. The good news is that we're over halfway there. 25. 26. The bad news is, it's going to take longer than the first half because of how much it's been crashing since the 18th load. Like, from the 18th load onwards, the only ones that haven't crashed are the 22nd and 23rd one. So that's just a ridiculous amount of crashing. And again, now we gotta wait a minute. Like, about. I think I timed it before, but it probably, even then, probably varies. Yeah. Nobody wants to test this shit. Imagine testing this on, like, PS2, by the way. Like, on, like, raw fucking console PS2. Because you can't even use PCSX2. The effects are completely different. It's fucked beyond belief. Like, it is completely unusable for testing, essentially, because you would, like... The only thing it'd be good for is, like, oh, we've proven that something's theoretically possible, but it's literally just, like, you know... I don't actually plan to continue testing Sunday Ring Mermaid Man after this. because that's when you get into, like, testing ring challenges. Like, it's nice in a way because it's like, oh, well, those are the ones we, like, with the maximum load. So if you get, like, the worst ones out of the way immediately, then that's beneficial. The problem is that, like, if you're factoring saving as much, like, time in as many categories as possible, generally, like, time challenges like guest time and, well, not guest time, but, like, Sunday time. Sunday time is better to test then, because it could affect no pause storage, and while still benefiting, Hundo and, what's the other one? Old Togans. Yeah, but it's just, you know. So yeah, so yeah, as you can see, no effect, which is incredibly common. I do have bone structure error here, just in case I want to specify, but I usually don't. And then the SS is save states, as you probably figured. So yeah, now we got 27. I love ball storage, it's so peak. Yes, it fucking crashed, yes. I love ball storage. Thank God I saved a state. 27. 28. 21. Let's see if it crashes. And again, it makes you wonder, like, what the fuck is it doing, even? And the reason why, there's, like, again, like I said in the other video, like, there's some stuff you want to test, some stuff that's, like, hard to justify test. Like, it's really hard to justify testing Gesk when it's already so short. Like, 29. Like, obviously it's like, oh, well, you know, Gesk 1 is a little long. And yeah, it is a little long. Like we could do, like, testing there. But if you skip the entire task, well, you didn't drop the lamp. And if you didn't drop... Oh, yeah, I think it's a lamp. You didn't drop the lamp. And if you didn't drop the lamp, then you can't do guest jumps. And then you have to go the regular way, which activates, like, cutscene. Like, you just fuck everything up. And then the time challenge would be, like, almost... Well, it would be basically as slow as the regular challenge. So, skipping, like, Gesk 1 would only be useful if you could skip Gesk Time, Ring, and Macho, but those are, like, really fast. Without exploits and glitches... Well, I say, okay, without glitches and... Well, not without... Okay. Other than, like, tricks, like, Gesk 2 is, like, the fastest sliding and driving level in the game, so... Unless you want to count, I mean, but even, like, even without the fast round, like, Gesk is still, like, the fastest one. But, yeah, anyway. 30. If I counted correctly. Which I think I did. Holy crash. God damn, this sucks. Again, I know we're doing effectively the worst case scenario, but fucking hell. And this still isn't as bad as before. Because, like, when I was testing the Sunday stuff before, it was before I did save states. You know how hard it is to, like, justify doing this shit when, like, no one else is doing it? 31. Oh, see, here we go. Okay, well, this is still a load crash. I'm still gonna say that's a load crash, but... Yeah. At least it's, you know, a little different. But that's the thing, I'm wondering now if it's gone back to looping to load 8, or if it's well, probably not, because that one didn't have a bone structure error. At least the ball storage pointer thing did not specify such a thing. So now we got 27, 28, 29, 30. I just realized you can see my K-On wallpaper in the background, 31. I've literally had that shit since, I think it's either 2017 or 2018, I'm not sure which. Because I watched K-On in 2017, so that make a bit more sense, but it's still entirely possible. I don't know, I feel like I just have memories from 2018 where I had the wallpaper, but it's... Oh, I know, I remember having the wallpaper in, like, when I was in my brother's room, but I sometimes set my PC up in his room when he was gone for a few weeks. But it's still more likely, because in 2018 I was in his room more often. Yeah, so it probably was 2018. Anyway, we're finally at load 32. Show me the money. Okay, well, no crash so far. Never mind, I fucking lied. It crashed. It fucking crashed. 27. 28. 29. 30. God damn, this sucks. 31. 32. You know, I just realized as well, if we ever switch to hard drive, then technically, we like, for a run setting, we could test even more loads. That would suck. I literally just wouldn't bother testing more loads, bro. I wouldn't be fucking asked for that shit. Anyway, 33 is not a bust. You know what's weird? I haven't had a single death crash, because dying acts as a scene reset. So it's important to test it. But I haven't had a single scene reset crash, which is a little odd considering how much is crashing outside of that. But Mindy in itself is almost like its own like half scene reset, but it's not quite the same. That's why it's important. Like, that's why, I'll probably save another state. 27... 28. Yeah, I should definitely do another one. 29. 30. I'd feel bad if I made this one of my weekly uploads, though, because of just how stupid this is, but... I'm also running out of ideas on what videos to even make. And I already had the Kirby Direct reaction, like, not be a weekly upload. Like, I didn't count it as a weekly upload. So, it's like, I'm literally running out. I don't even know what... Like, I remember I had a video idea, and then I just forgot what it was. I wanted to make a video before on lock elements in movie, but I figured it'd be boring. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, also, the console crashing is, like, bad for the console if it's crashing, like, over and over and over again. That's another thing. I'm just trying to think of if there's anything I want to say that I'm just not thinking of. But probably not really. Yeah, sometimes I do this shit in my spare time. I'll do, like... Sometimes I'll just do, like, one a day. Sometimes just so I have an excuse to not work. Because this is still productive in its own right. Because, I'm literally looking for time saves. And you know what the worst thing is that this isn't even, like, as thorough of testing as you could do. Depends on, like, the level and the circumstances. Because some, the initial fly-through cutscene and stuff like that. But it can literally be, like... Hold on. Yeah, I don't know, like... Oh my god. I was about to crash with a bone count of 29. To 35, so I'm gonna reload this. 35. 36. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and there are some levels that are, like, not as worth testing as others. 35. 36. Like, I figured out recently that, like, Sandwich Driving Ring Challenge, Plain Sponge is, like, one of the absolute worst ones you could test. Because only Hundo could benefit from it, and then Hundo would get fucked by routing. You still could make it work, but it'd be fucked. Stuff like that where, like, literally exclusively benefits Hundo. That stuff is, like, the least warranted testing. 35. 36. 37. And then there were plenty that only really benefit all tokens in Hundo, like, such as the first Knucklehead token, like, after you have enough tokens. Because you can't, like, properly talk to Mindy, there's, like, almost no way we could load into the level and just have Mindy be like, you, like, completed the challenge, brev. Well, even then, Mindy doesn't talk to you after getting the first challenge, completing it, so... Even if that did exist... 39. Even if that did exist, like... It would probably only give you a token for a different task. And then if it's from a different task, it probably wouldn't give you the Neptune warp, so that's just, like, incredibly useless to test. I mean, theoretically, it still could have something, but it's, you know, like, come on. 40. I hope this puts into perspective, like, how long this shit actually takes. Like, I know, like, this is, like, one of the more extreme examples I could have done. And I made a few mistakes, but mistakes are common when you do it this much anyway. You know, I normally wouldn't do this, but because of how much this has been crashing, I'll even save a state on 40. It's probably not worth it. I'm not sure. If it does crash a lot from here on out, like, it's probably worth saving the state. But yeah, again, there's probably, like, more I could say, but just, you know. Thank God, like, it's only worth testing English Xbox and PS2, or else, like, this would just be a nightmare. And thank God PS2 is not already, like, fast for some categories, or else, like, that would incentivize testing it more, but then the slow loads would really be draining. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's more we could be doing for testing as well. Like, I forgot to go into more detail earlier, but, like, beginning on a load count of 4 could be, like, big. That would technically, because it's slightly shifted memory a little bit differently, so technically, you'd want to test, like, all the spreadsheet testing that we've done so far, you'd want to do all of it again, starting on a load count of 4. We just don't do that, like, now, because in a run setting, you're statistically, why do I keep doing that? You're statistically unlikely to be on a load count of 4 going into a level, like, when you need to be. Like, I know that's not literally how it works, but for our purposes, it's effectively 3 in 4 chance that you won't be on a load count of 4 in a run when you get to the target destination. So, and yeah, see, it's already proving me right that I should have saved the state there. I think it was the right thing to do. And what do you know? It crashed again. So 41, but we're nearly done. 42. And then 43. The home stretch is here. Fuck. The home stretch. I could easily just stop testing now because, again, it wouldn't even benefit the run, even if it did exist at this point. But, you know, I'm gonna be thorough because there's only a couple more loads to test. 44. Dude, it's crashing a lot, actually. It's crashing, like, a ton. I didn't even factor, like, enabling Mermaid Man, by the way, because at least in Hundo, it would lose, like, almost no time to enable Mermaid Man. If you know, depending on the situation. It just would have complicated, and even then, enabling it doesn't lose that much. Like, it's, like, yeah. It would just complicate things if I factor that into the timing. Like, maybe then it's like, oh, one less load, but then what about Hundos? Then you still want to do an extra load anyway for Hundo's purposes. Anyway, yeah, this is probably the end of the line for testing. And there you go, 45. So, a lot of crashes at the end. If 45 worked, what I would have done is attempted to warp on load 46. Not actually test load 46, but just to see, because again, if you, like, sometimes you can get effects where it just, like, doesn't, where the game crashes when attempting to warp, so it would just be making sure that load 45 does not do that. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, so now I gotta, like, input this, so it was SCDA1, so no effect, and then crash, and then I do a comment, I do 45 total loads, and there was 43 non-SB loads. And then I usually start from, like, whatever crash first. So, for example, the 8th load was a load crash. So then so the first thing I'm listing is all of the load crashes, which was just 8 and 31. So 8th and 31st load crashed during, which I just say so that I don't have to be like, you know, the 31st load crashed during the load. That's just kind of redundant wording, so... Then the next one was load 18, which had a fade crash, so 18th, 19th, 21st, and then 24th to 27th, 29th, 30th, 32nd, 34th to 37th, and 40th to 45th load crash after talking to Mindy. And finally, 20th load crashed after... how do I word that? Because I usually don't get this crash. I guess just canceling Mindy's text box. Right. And that was just one. So theoretically, there could be even worse ones here. I mean, there could be better, but there could also be worse. There are levels here that aren't as nice to test. Like, it would depend on the category, but for example, like, if you're doing like Sunday time, obviously you would mainly be thinking about no pole storage, but then it's like, well, if you need to do plank sponge bowl as part of the, like, you can do that, but you lose a lot of time. So yeah. And then same kind of thing with like Neptune and yeah. But for Hundo and all tokens, you can test like basically anything. Except for obviously like SD 101, like the first task, you know, other than like the really obvious stuff, you can test like nearly anything you want. Yeah. So that's pretty much the video. So how long did this take in total? According to the recording, 42.5 minutes, but obviously, you know, I was talking for some of it without actually doing anything, and it's kind of coupled, and there was like a 2-minute intro. So in total, probably this took like 38 minutes with fucking save states. So you can imagine how long this took without save states. Imagine if every single one took like an hour, like pre-save states. I mean, it probably wouldn't take that long, but I mean, it depends. So, you know, especially without a costume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, like 20 hours. In reality, especially the way it is now, and how this is very likely like the worst case scenario. Well, not very, you know, debatably. Let's say that this whole thing would take like, I'd say at least 10 hours. I think that's incredibly realistic. Well, if anything, that's lowballing it. I think this sheet would take like 10 hours at least. More realistically, like a 12 hours maybe. Maybe like 11 to 12 hours. And without save states, I don't even know how long this took. So yeah. There are some, like, I think it was sandwich driving. Yeah, this one was really bad. Again, pre-save states. Luckily there was only 30 loads to test, but yeah. So yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.